search the world for a meaning. I can't explain this feeling that all of our hearts are beating for something beautiful. I found you in the searching. Yeah, you were right there with me. You gave me a brand new story. It's something beautiful. Now I can breathe. My fears released. Now I am free because of you. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like, then count me in. Then count me in. You can count me in. Yeah, you can count me in. You gave me life worth living. Gave me a song worth singing. This is just the beginning of something beautiful. And now I can breathe. My fears released. Now I am free because of you. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like, then count me in. Then count me in. You can count me in. Yeah, you can count me in. Your cross made a way for me. Oh, the mystery that heaven knows my name. My story will always be that you rescued me, and I'll never be the same. Your cross made a way for me. Oh, the mystery that heaven knows my name. My story will always be that you rescued me, and I'll never be the same. 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 Then count me in. You can count me in. Yeah, you can count me in. Count me in. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like. If this is what it feels like to know you, to know you. If this is what it feels like, then count me in.
When I have a crisis of faith, when I make the same mistakes, when I'm feeling far away, will your love still stay? Does it ever change? When I look at who I've become, when I see the things I've done, when I feel like I should just run, will your love still stay? Does it ever change? You call me yours, you say I'm loved, and your love's
That's not why you love me. That's not why you love. And you tell me that I belong. Oh, but that's not 'cause I earned it. That's just who you are. You show up when I feel lost, and you were there when I give up. Even when it's all too much, you are giving me life. You can make the darkness run. You were there when my hope's gone. I'm so thankful for your love, and I want you forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better, and I am yours forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better. You're all I want. Darkness was all I had known. Oh, before you came to save me, I was on my own. Then you gave up your only son. Oh, sacrifice to save me. I'm rescued by your love. You show up when I feel lost, and you were there when I give up. Even when it's all too much, you are giving me life. You can make the darkness run. You were there when my hope's gone. I'm so thankful for your love, and I want you forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better, and I am yours forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better. You're all I want. You're all I want. You're all I want. Your love is stronger. Your love is deeper. Your love is better. Jesus, your love goes farther. Your love's forever. There's nothing better. Jesus, your love is stronger. Your love is deeper. Your love is better. Jesus, your love goes farther. Your love's forever. There's nothing better. Jesus, and I want you forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better, and I am yours forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better, and I want you forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better, and I am yours forever. You're my God. You stole my heart. There's nothing better. You're all I want.
Darkness existed and we couldn't reach you.
nothing to look to, but you put in motion a love that would break through the walls then created, 'cause nothing can stop you. You have set us free, Jesus, forever. We will praise you. You are everything, Jesus, forever. We will praise you.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. If you would stand with us and worship this morning, we are so happy to have you here. You know I had my doubts. I thought the fire went out. Blowing again. You know I lost my way. You sure will again someday. There's a whisper calling again. Sing it out with us. This is the sound of a child coming home. Hallelujah. This is the song of a welcome prodigal. Hallelujah. I thought I was too far gone, but you always leave me alone. Praise God, praise God, praise God. I'm coming home. Thought I was miles away. Somehow my vision changed. You've been with me all along. Took me a long, long time to finally realize you never, ever, ever shed the time. This is the sound of a child coming home. Hallelujah. This is the song of a welcome prodigal. Hallelujah. I thought I was too far gone, but you always leave me right on. Praise God, praise God, praise God. For those who are afraid to come, there is no fear in perfect love. But those who don't know where to start, He always meets us where we are. For those with just a little faith is all it takes. He's calling, He's calling. If you got caught up in religion's game, then let Him show you the real thing. Oh, the skeptics still
gonna sing till my heart starts changing. Oh, I'm gonna worship till I mean every word. 'Cause the way I feel and the fear I'm facing doesn't change who you are or what you deserve. Let's lift up our song. I give you my worship, you still deserve it. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy of my song. I'll pour out your praises in blessing and breaking. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy of my song. You're worthy of my song. I'm gonna live like my King is risen. Gonna preach to my soul that you already won. And even though I can't see it, I'm gonna keep believing that every promise you made is as good as done. I give you my worship, you still deserve it. You're worthy, you're worthy, God. You're worthy of my song. I'll pour out your praises in blessing and breaking. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy of my song. You're worthy, you're worthy. Jesus, you're worthy of my song. You're worthy, you're worthy. Jesus, you're worthy of my song. You're worthy, you're worthy. Jesus, you're worthy of my song. You're worthy, you're worthy. When I sat by that hospital bed, you were worthy. When she could barely lift her head, you were worthy. After all those tears were shed, you were worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. Oh, I'll never stop singing your praise. Oh, in the blessing and the pain, you are worthy. Whether you say yes or no, I'll worthy. Through it all, I choose to say that you are worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. No, I'll never stop singing your praise. When I finally see your face, I'll come
only one who can move into our hearts and into our lives and heal every broken piece and make us whole. God, it doesn't matter how broken we are. You will use us if we trust in you. So use us, Lord Jesus. We thank you for your sacrifice and for the joy that you put in all of us. Amen.
Amen. You can have a seat. You guys look good. This is a packed room. How you guys feeling this morning? Nobody over here is feeling good at all. Very quiet from this. How are you guys feeling over here? All right, good, awesome. So we are in week 4, the final week of the marriage series, aptly titled Marriage. I was here a couple weeks ago, and I talked about myself. I gotta be honest today. First of all, can the wives in the room, can you raise your hand if you're a wife in the room? Awesome. How about husbands? Raise your hand if your husband's in the room. All right, let's get more specific. How about if I'm being completely blunt, how about just the dumb husbands? Yeah, okay, thank you for being honest. A couple of you? Let me tell you, man, I told a couple weeks ago when I was here, I told you that my wife's husband was awesome. And that I was convicted by that because I lied in church. I think that's like a double sin. Because it's a good thing I have her with me because she helps me. She really does help me through life. Husbands, any husband, it doesn't have to be just the dumb husbands. Any husband? Yeah? No? It'd be best if the husband said yes right now. That would be the best for you. That's just some wisdom for you. But she keeps me focused. I just realized recently, her name's Tabby. I just realized recently that she doesn't hold my hand like in public out of affection. She holds my hand to keep me focused and out of trouble. Like we'll go to Easton and they got that Lego store. And as soon as we walk by, I'm like, oh, there's a Lego store. She's like, come on, hey, we've got. And I just run over to her like her little monkey husband. Just keep looking back at the Lego store. Can we go back there? I love it. She keeps snacks, like treats in her purse for me. Various meats and cheeses. Like, when I see a shiny Corvette, she's like, hey, turkey bite, Swiss? Like, okay. I have to decide, I want to go look at the shiny Corvette or the treat, and I'm always pick the treat, like a little monkey husband. I eat it with 2 hands. It's ridiculous. I just found out, maybe 5 years ago, I learned about sweet potatoes. And I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again. We were at Longhorn. My wife ordered her steak and a sweet potato. And I said, hey, I've never tried a sweet potato before. Can I try that? She's like, you're 40 and you haven't tried a sweet potato? I'm like, no, I haven't. So she gave me a bite of her sweet potato. I'm like, that's awesome. This is an absolutely true story. I'm like, that's like a candy potato. And I sat there looking at her sweet potato for a little bit, and I finally asked her, this question really came out of my mouth. I said, so, like, when do they make it a sweet potato? Do they soak that in something, or is it injected? She puts her fork down, and the look of disappointment in her choice of a husband in that moment, she's like, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Do you think this was a regular potato at one point and they injected it with sweetness? I'm like, well, it's a sweet potato. She says, no, it's like a yam. You know, like a yam? I'm like, I don't know anything about yams. I'm not a yam expert. She's like, I don't think you need to be a yam expert to know what a yam is. She was so disappointed in me. Enough that I had to go and ask a friend about it not long after that. And I had to work it into conversation. I'm like, not hun, I didn't call my friend a hun. That was still thinking about my wife's conversation. I said, hey, so the game last night, the game was really good. LeBron looking good. You know about these yams? And he's like, you mean like sweet potatoes? I'm like, oh, yeah, he must have gone to school for that. Because I don't know about yams. Am I the only one that didn't know about yams and sweet potatoes and what they were exactly in clear into my 40s? Yes? Oh, great. That didn't hurt at all. Thank you for being so vocal. All right, we're going to find out if husbands are as smart as their wives. Right now, we're going to play a game, a battle of the sexes game. So I've got a couple lined up. I don't even know who the couple is. Who is the couple? Come on up, couple. Listen, we got music playing for you. This is a marriage version of Battle of the Sexes. Round of applause for our couple. as they make their way to the stage. So you may have heard of this game. It's a game where you ask like the girl a question that maybe would be more intended to a guy being able to answer. So welcome to the stage. Introduce yourselves. You guys have the microphone there.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Cameron. Nice to
Cameron, how long have you guys been married?
8 months.
8 months. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're
That would explain.
veterans, we know everything.
That would explain why you guys look like you're 12.
The first thing he said when I volunteered for this game, he's like, "You're not married."
They sent them in back. I didn't know you were really going to be volunteer. Okay. So, and I'm sorry. Tell me your name one more time.
Cameron.
Cameron. All right, Cameron. Would you consider yourself just as smart as your wife?
Depends on the subject we're talking about.
Okay. All right. We're going to find out right now. Here we go. The first question for you. What's the name of the stick that one would dip into a car to check the oil level? What is the name of the stick that one would dip?
Okay, I have an answer, and
Okay.
I feel like it's a leading question.
Okay.
Dipstick?
Dipstick. She got it. That's good. She's good. She's good. All right, Cameron.
That was a really easy one.
Well, this one is too. According to an old wives' tale, girls should brush their hair 100 times per day to keep it healthy. What is hair 95% made of?
Keratin?
Holy cow, that was not supposed to be answered. That is right. And I didn't know what a sweet potato was. Daggone. All right. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all great basketball players. True or false? Basketball is a sport.
That's a hard one. I
Yeah?
don't know. I'm going to say now, yes.
True?
Yes, true.
True. Very good. Well done. Cameron's turn. Cameron. Young girls dream of walking down the aisle to get married with the wedding march playing. Two-part question. Who wrote the wedding march? And what was his biggest fear as a child? If you get this right, I'm punching you in the face, Cameron. I'll be honest with you.
There's a lot of guys in history with the first name of John.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, John Smith.
John Smith. No. Come on, everybody. Felix Mendelssohn. Yes, they knew it. His biggest fear was the Spanish flu, probably. I don't know. Maybe spiders. All right, third and final question. Besides a hammer, name a tool found in a toolbox. Also, I will accept hammer as an answer.
You can have a jackhammer in a tool. It's another type of hammer.
Should be a big toolbox. Screwdriver. You're going with screwdriver? All right. 3 out of 3. Cameron, come on. You got to pull through in this one. All right. At baby gender reveal parties, girls are usually represented by the color pink. If pink had a sound, what would it be? I'm sorry. That's a good try. That's blue, actually. That's what it is. Round of applause for our married couple. Walk him off like a monkey. Walk him off like a little monkey husband. Listen to this music. Perfect music to bring Joel back on stage for the final season. The final week is what I'm looking for.
Final season.
The final season of marriage. You had a good time doing this message, Joel?
What's that?
You had a good time doing this message?
I don't know what you're saying.
Have you had a good time doing this message? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard
Sorry.
to hear here.
Yeah, good.
I'm just
here.
killing time till Rob gets
Yeah, you're
here.
good. Thank you. Good job.
Joel Kovacs,
Thanks,
everybody.
Guys. Yeah. That was funny. That was unfair. It's way harder for the guy. We're really thankful that you guys are here today, and we're going to pass the buckets for giving. Thank you for giving to our church. Thank you for all the people who have been a part of this church and have gone to whatever it is we lead. We do something called the Blueprint, where we bring people in to share with them our plan for their faith to grow, like how to build their faith. And we have all ways that we ask people to engage. And one of the top 4 ways that we ask people to engage is through giving. And so I just want to thank everybody who said that they would give, they'd sign up for giving, and they've jumped online and they've done reoccurring giving, or they've started to tithe and give. That's what makes this place continue to operate, and it's part of our values here at a church in terms of what it means to be a Christian, is to be generous, because Jesus is so incredibly generous in every single way. And so really it is a personal part of your development to be generous. When we talk, what we're going to talk about today is the Christian value system and what you believe it means to be a Christian and how that relates to marriage and your life. And it's really hard to say that you believe in the values of Christ and at the same time you don't exemplify some type of generosity that's normal in your world. So thank you to everyone for being generous to this church. It's really, really cool to see. I was sharing this earlier. We've had quite a response to this series. I've had more people reach out individually, both with genuine gratitude and also with, genuine concern and some crisis, because marriage is really, really hard. I'm just curious, kind of looking through the room. We've had, honestly, some of our biggest numbers over the past couple of weeks. If you heard about this series or the church or anything just through some type of Instagram ad or anything like that, would you raise your hand if you've heard if that's kind of how you ended up here? Just through social media or anything like that? What about through like word of mouth, like a friend or anything like that you heard? Yeah, yep, okay, a couple hands, yep. All right, we're just kind of curious, like it seems to be that this topic is really like, bringing people into this space, which is so awesome. At the same time, it does make me very, very heavy-hearted if I was to be really fully kind of transparent as to where I am, because this topic really is just challenging and people are really struggling, and there's some people in our church that are just really in crisis, and there's people in our church that just really need help, and marriage kind of like brings us all to that place of whether or not we're going to allow our Christian values to lead our life, and it will get tested in the context of marriage. And like I've said before, I don't believe that the purpose of marriage is to turn you into a Christian. I don't believe that the challenges of marriage in and of itself is designed to help you transform into Christ. I believe that if you don't have Christ and you don't transform into his likeness, marriage will be impossible to do the way that we're supposed to do it. And so we're all on that journey. Whether we're in a marriage or not, we're being transformed into the likeness of Christ. And if you're kind of visiting or you're watching or you're checking in or you're here for the first time, we're really, really grateful that you're here. And I'm going to do the quickest recap I've ever done. If you feel like you want to engage more with this series, everything we have is online. You can go watch it. You can go listen to the podcast and kind of catch up with the 3 weeks prior. As I go through this, I think to myself about the kind of life I grew up. I grew up and my parents were divorced. And at the time that I grew up, having divorced parents was pretty normal. I remember meeting my wife and her parents were married at the time and still are married. And that was like pretty refreshing. That was like pretty unique. And then as I grew up, I kind of realized that at school, I was in high school in the 90s, that, having divorced parents and being in a divorced home was kind of normal. It was like, and then actually getting married and staying married, and friends of mine that had parents together was like really like kind of cool and like refreshing. It's like, wow, like that's amazing that there's like people who their parents are at home, and I came from the total opposite of that, so it was very, very attractive to me. And it makes you ask the question, because really what's happened with marriage in this country just over the past 50, 60 years is you had the 1950s, people come home from war and they set up the life they want to live, and they want to get married, and they want that normal kind of traditional thing. And then the 60s came in with the sexual revolution, and kind of from that time, marriage kind of took a turn down. A lot less people got married, and it became less and less attractive to people to get married. And so the question, why are people still getting married, is just like, it's interesting, right? Like a lot of people look at marriage and they go, this is traditional, this is antiquated. What's the purpose of marriage? Like, why would people still jump into that? It's so hard to do. You put yourself at risk. You're with the one person your whole life. Whatever it is, there's all these other reasons that have been added to make it look like not getting married is more attractive, more exciting. And marriage then is also so difficult, right? We know this. I recently heard this comedian talking about how Albert Einstein got divorced. And he's like, I really feel like they should tell you that before you get married. It's probably important to know that one of the smartest humans to ever grace the planet couldn't figure out marriage. It's like if you're in the room and you think that like a level of intellectual stimulus is the key, it's wrong. It's so difficult that the reason that people do get married, even though it's difficult, and even though it's less attractive to so many and to so many people that are particularly aren't in the church, is that you and I were designed by the divine for connection. We're designed for that. It's kind of something that is in us. God is communal, and we crave connection and community, and we crave partnership. And that kind of leads us into the 3 weeks we've already done. The first week of the series, what I did is I just wanted people to understand that marriage is something that's bigger than you, and that you're a part of something that's bigger than you, because marriage is a picture of God's will for the world, and all of creation represents this idea of marriage and partnership and the two pieces becoming one. The most important being heaven and earth, God's space and human space being married together. Sin causing that separation, which was never God's desire, but it happened. But you see all throughout the created order, land and sea and vegetation and animals, that things kind of work in this symbiotic sense, and they work in this kind of relationship where they work together. And of course, then male and female do. So it's not just something that you fall into, it's something that you were created into, this desire that God had for partnership and community and connection. It's God's will. And also, marriage is a picture of God's love for the world. It's a picture of God's love for the world. And so when you get married, and when that bride walks down the aisle, and the most kind of sanctimonious thing that we do in our culture in America today is the Christian wedding. There's more time, energy, resources, and kind of culture, if you will, in a wedding ceremony than anything else we do. We all get dressed up, we spend the money, there's tradition, there's food, there's dancing, there's celebration. It's a very big deal. And that whole piece of the bride and the groom coming together is kind of, it's amazing, it's mind-blowing when we look at it. It's a picture of God's love. It's a picture of Jesus. It's a picture of Jesus loving his church so much that he'd give his life for his church. And then now these two people kind of walk around, and a marriage is supposed to be a picture of God's heart for all of the people on earth. It's like, man, I'd do anything for you. And when two people are married and married well, it's a reflection of who God is, right? It's like, wow, like look at that. Look at the way they interact. Look at the way they kind of waltz and dance and do life together. And they embody something that's really, really special when we're married, and we're married the way Christ wants us to be, and we have Christian marriage. And then in week 2, what we did is we said that you don't have to get married, and I'll talk to lots of people who are married or getting married, and then, they're like, oh, I want to get married, and they say the kind of wedding vow language. I promise God and you to love you from this day forward. I promise I'll spend my life pursuing your needs and your desires, regardless of our circumstances. Today, I stand before God, you and these people, to make a covenant with God, to love you all the days of my life. These are the vows that I have my married couples read, and everybody agrees to that. Everyone agrees to this, the concept of marriage. But then honestly, some of the most regular conversations I have with people in my office is, I love them, but I don't want to go to Giant Eagle. I'm a Kroger guy. I mean, that is that petty, where like people will not do the thing. It's like they won't be the husband they said they would be. I said I would give up my life for you. Oh, but not that. Like, I'm a Jif guy. We're not bringing Peter Pan in this house. I mean, you laugh, but it is actually sometimes that petty. Where somebody is, and then I'll talk to wives, you know, and you know, you didn't have to get married. You didn't have to do this. When you got married, what did you actually say you were going to do? Well, you know, I think about my vows and all that stuff, for better or for worse. You know, I'll pursue you, whatever it is. And there's a disconnect between the concept and those big words that you say and the daily reality of living for someone else. You know, you're tired, you're grumpy, your trauma comes out, whatever it is, you're not gonna do that. And so in week 2, we said daily intentional self-giving actions. When you signed up to get married, you signed up for daily intentional self-giving actions. And this is a proactive, it's a pursuit. It's not passive. It's a pursuit of the person that you're married to, where you are interested in their well-being at all times. You're asking them daily, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I leverage me for you? What do you need from me today? And other things like that. And then last week we looked again back at the heart of marriage and talked about how a lot of people view marriage as a 50-50 business partnership. And we joked about how, you know, I actually heard another comedian say, you know, these Hollywood weddings, you know, we need to have these vows changed to the reality of what they're actually saying. And we can pick on Hollywood, but it really is like, it's ubiquitous. Like, we all do this. Everybody kind of stands up and says, I'll love you till death do us part, no matter what, all this really intense, committed language. And then when it gets bad, it doesn't happen. So I think it was like Wanda Sykes or someone who's like, we need to just stand up and say, like, I'm here. Today it's good. You know, you look nice. I like you. I'm happy. But as soon as I'm not, I don't want to do this anymore. And then the guy's like, yeah, me too. I'm good for now. Good for now. Because that's the reality, is that when it gets really hard, then people are like, you know, I'm not happy anymore. I'm not happy anymore. And I've talked about how happiness is not a goal, not a good one. It's a miniature goal. Go on vacation for some happiness. Take a night off for some happiness. The goal of life is not happiness. The goal of life is meaningful pursuit of what God says is important. Purpose. Responsibility, man. That's what the goal of life is. That's what you should be aiming at. And you find that in the Christian life. Laying down your life for the people that you love, building something every single day that at the end of the day, you go, we built something, I did something, it matters, it's making a difference. I'm part of the created order of God. I image him into the world. I take the world and move it forward the way that God took chaos and turned it into order. Today I'm gonna take chaos and I'm gonna move it forward. When we find that type of purpose, we can apply it into our lives, our work, our marriages, and everything. So the purpose of life is not just to feel happiness. It's to build something every day that God says you should be a part of building. And so marriage is not a partnership. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. And that may sound cliche, but it's not. That's the truth, is that you're saying you show up to a covenant relationship. Marriage is a covenant, not a partnership. Marriage is where you say, no matter what, I'm in all the time. And you can sit there and go, yeah, but what about they, them, that? But the reality is that when we're talking about marriage, we're talking about God's heart for us and how he's committed to us no matter what we do. And so in order for us to be committed to someone, no matter what they do, we need transformation in our hearts to be like God. We need a heart change. We need a heart transplant, literally, in the sense of we need to go from a heart of stone to a heart of soft forgiveness. And then forgiveness is the test. It's not that God will test you with forgiveness to see if you're like him. Maybe he will. But the point is not forgiveness being that, you're in trouble. Let's see if you've gotten so far. It's let's evaluate. Let's kind of evaluate your heart. Is it like God's? Rick Warren said a great marriage is the combination of two professional forgivers. The implication of being a professional forgiver is someone who has lots of reps forgiving. Right? You're not a professional forgiver. How many times have you forgiven? Well, you're married. How many times have you forgiven? Well, I forgave my sister growing up. Like, she was rude and annoying and bratty. You know, it's like a professional forgiver is like the resume is, this is how much I've forgiven. Why do you do that? Well, because I have this different model in my life of what it's all about. My life is about a heart that's soft and says, I'm in no matter what. My heart moves into a relationship with its eyes wide open. I know they're gonna mess up. Like I'm committing to them. You know why you say marriage commitments? Because it's hard to stay in a marriage. Otherwise, you don't need to have a commitment. You make a commitment because the implication is this will be hard. If you don't stand up in front of all your friends, all your family, the people you love the most, the people you went to Vegas with, the people that you just have spent all your life, the people you love, the people that call you every day, the people that call you every week, if you don't stand up and promise in front of them, you won't do it. They're there, family, friends, best man, maid of honor, all of them, mom, dad, they're all there because they're going, we got you. This is hard. We want you to do this well, man. We're in for you. So they can come back to you, right? When it's hard and go, I was there. I was there. I was there when you made that commitment. I was there when you made that commitment. And so what I want to talk to you about today is just, I've really wrestled with what to do today because, like I said, so much crisis has come to my email that I just thought, what am I gonna talk about that can really help everybody? I wanted to do a little bit of boots on the ground stuff today, like, how to fight or, how to grow and all that stuff. And I'm gonna do a little bit of that, but I'm gonna stay a little bit more conceptual so we can continue to learn what marriage really is as we get our boots on the ground, because what I find myself continuing to be in the process of with people in our church and in relationship is orientation around what marriage is. What is this thing? And I've heard it said before, and actually, I remember during COVID when all that was happening and all the fights about masks and all the fights about politics and everything was going on at once. And, as you can imagine in church, teeth were coming out, claws were coming out, all different ideas. And I remember I was on the phone, I was walking my dog, I was on the phone with John McCambridge, he's our teaching pastor. And he said to me, crisis won't create your values, it will reveal them. Crisis won't create your values, it will reveal them. And so what you have in your life is you have a reality that you're living every single day. That's up to you, kind of what you want to be, who you want to be. And then what happens is the crucible, right? Like something is going to press you. One of my favorite little my kids use the word satisfying. They watch those videos. It's so satisfying. My kid will show me a video of some cool thing that is interesting to watch. I don't even know what it is. It's like rubber being split into two. And they're like, isn't that so satisfying? I'm like, if you say satisfying again, I'm going to smack you. And I've never smacked them, but I'm just saying that to make you laugh. They say satisfying. They just say that word all the time. And what happens is that crisis comes along, and I lost my train of thought there. Hold on. Crisis won't create your values; it will reveal them. Why did I talk about satisfying? I don't know. Stir the pot. My kids will show me these videos. I don't know what I'm talking about. Crisis will create your values. Why did I say that about them watching those videos? This is a problem with my note system up here. These lines of randomness. Regardless, that's true. The crucible will come. Oh. There it is. One of my favorite little videos to watch is that big compression thing that just crushes stuff, and you watch it, and then the thing that has the teeth that rolls and that puts an old bike in it or a motorcycle or an engine, and it still is hard enough to rip it into shreds. right? And so you get to see like, what's the constitution of whatever that thing is? How much pressure can it take before it blows up, like a baseball? Or sometimes they'll put like some kind of metal thing and you're like, there's no way, and it just still just all that pressure. And that's what happens to us, right? And it's like, and then we get to see what we're made of. We get to see what we really value. And what I would say as it relates to marriage is that this is all about you and your values. You have to determine what you think about how you're gonna live, what you believe. And your value system should be designed, if you will, to withstand pressure and problems. The point of having a value system is when the weight comes, will it carry it? And so this is the conversation I'm having with people it's like back up. What do you think? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What's important to you? What is a value system? A value system or values is a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. As you go into a marriage, you have to define your value system. And it is impossible to have a Christian marriage without the Christian value system. And so what I'm gonna do today is, again, close the gap between us saying we think and believe something and the reality of what we do every day, our behaviors that represent our values. And this is why it's so important when you're getting married to know someone's value system. Does their value system match your value system? And I'll tell you this is what's so critically important. The disparity between saying, my value system is Christ, listen carefully to this, but not actually behaving that way is a sign of one of three things: a lack of mental health, a lack of self-awareness, and a lack of maturity. Did you hear what I'm saying? If you're in here and you say, Jesus is my value system, I wanna be like Jesus, I wanna live like Jesus, I want my life to be like Jesus, but there's a disparity between what you actually do, and you just stand up here and you say you believe something, but it's not what you do, it's a tell. It's a tell. You either have a mental health crisis that you're going through, where there's some type of maybe cognitive dissonance between the reality and what's going on. It's a lack of self-awareness where you just don't know you enough yet. And you walk around, you paint the Superman chest, and you say, I'm this, I'm that, I believe those things. You know, happens a lot of time in seminary, and guys that go to school and all of a sudden they know all this stuff. Oh yeah, this and that. And they can't put together a relationship. They can't have calmness. They can't be peace-filled. They can't get the girl because there's a disparity. Their value system isn't what they say it is. And then when the pressure comes, you say, I believe like Jesus. But then when the pressure comes, look at Twitter, man. The claws come out. Look at the way people act. And I'll tell you, like, this is true for me. In my marriage, in the challenges with Katie and I, the time when there was this stuff, what comes out is not all my degrees and my ability to recite Ephesians chapter 5. What comes out is what I really value, what is driving me, what it's really all about to me. And the same is true for you. What do you really think? What are you really doing? And to build a value system, you gotta have that ideal, but you gotta make that ideal a daily thing. It's gotta be real. So, in order, two things for two different groups of people. Before you get married, define your value system. Before you get married, define your value system. I mean, don't just say it. I mean, don't just talk about it. I mean, write it down. And then get to work. What does it mean? Oh, I believe in Jesus. I want to follow Jesus. I want to do all this stuff. I want to be like Christ. I want to be like, what does that mean? What does it mean daily? What's your value? What's important to you? I mean, how you spend your money, how you spend your time, what you want to do with your life, how you want to spend Friday nights. What do you value? You know, you should be able to show up if you're not married yet and you want to do marriage right, man. This is why this would be so helpful, is because you should be getting here as a Christian anyway. Like, I'm following Jesus, so your value system is being shaped by Christ, and then that becomes real for you, and it's not just something you say. And I can't tell you how many times I talk to people, and you know, the guy is there, and I'm not picking on the guy, but the girl loves the guy, and the guy loves the girl. And she drags him into premarital counseling with me. And it's almost like he's just winking at me. Like, you know, I'll do whatever I gotta do, buddy. I'm here. And she's like, he has a faith. He has one. I'm like, really? What is it? He has faith in my ability to tell him what to do. Whatever, I mean, she has a faith, and she's projected. She wants him to have a faith. And imagine, it literally is, it's a bowl of soup. You get all excited about one bowl, but you throw everything away. You're gonna marry that person who, you know, you might have a good honeymoon. What a waste of life. You need to talk about what you really value. Like, really, like, okay, you're cute and all that stuff, but stop it. We're not talking about that right now. Well, how do you want to spend your money? Like, tell me. What's our overall goal in life? How many kids do you want to have? Where do you want to work? Do you want me to work? I want to work. Do you want to work? You think I'm supposed to stay home all day? You got to talk about it all. And then even more than that is not just into the nitty gritty. What's the example? Like, what are we aiming for? Where are you getting your value system? Oh man, I've never thought about that. Well, my dad and my mom, well, what's their relationship like? Kind of rocky, not good enough. And so if you're in a Christian marriage, your value system has to be defined by Christ. And we're gonna talk about that. And then to improve your marriage, redefine and refine your value system. When you're talking about your value system, this is not just what do they need from me. Okay? When I'm talking about a marriage, you're not just showing up going, my value system is to do whatever they need me to do. That's setting you up for a mess. Bless you. That's setting you up. It's bigger than that. It's who do I need to be? Who do I want to be? You're responsible for you. Your value system is not this codependent kind of, whatever they need, I'll do. I'm gonna be a subservient whatever, guy or girl. It's, this is who I am going to be. And I'm gonna live according to my personal value system. And then I'm going to offer my value system freely to the person I choose to be with. It's my choice. And this gets into the Christian value system and the model of Christ. So we'll look at Ephesians chapter 5 again, because we looked at it a couple weeks ago. And in Ephesians chapter 5:21, that's the verses, right? Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives, submit to your husband. Husbands, love and give your life for your wife. That's what that is. But the whole chapter is talking to an entire Christian community about how all of the people in the community are supposed to have a Christian value system. That everybody in there is supposed to be the ones that are having Christ as the model for the way they live their life and how they choose to be. So it says this in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. It says, follow God's example. This is our value system. This is Paul saying, here's your aim. This is your target. This is the leader of your community. Here's the head of your community. He is the pace setter. He is the trend setter. Not just for ideas, but for how to live. That's why he says, follow God's example. You follow God's example. Does that mean that wives are supposed to follow God's example? Yeah. Does that mean that husbands are supposed to follow God's example? Uh-huh. Does that mean unmarried people are supposed to follow God's example? Yes. Does that mean children are supposed to learn to follow God's example? Yes. Therefore, everybody follow God's example as dearly loved children and walk, that's a word used for daily, walk, live, have your behaviors walk in the way of, say it, love, just as, here's our trendsetter, here's our pace setter, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice. First thing is this: no matter whether you're married or not, which I've said, you can follow God's example. This is for the whole community. You can ask yourself this question: does my life tell the story of Jesus, his life, his death, and his resurrection? You start to pull that into the day-to-day. Does my life tell the story? What I'm asking is, are you following God's example? Are you leveraging who you are for the betterment of the community that you're in to bring about the life and goodness and the glory of God wherever you are? Is that a thing you're seeking? Because that's your value system as a Christian. Listen, good works, fruit, are not the proof of salvation. They're the point. The point of salvation, the point of your faith is so that you can understand you've been created in the image of God for what? To do good works, to bring about the beauty of God into the world. So you can ask yourself, am I daily laying down my life, doing something, leveraging my talents, spending who I am for the betterment of the people around me? And we're gonna look at the three words in this passage that really kind of pop out. The first one is love. And here's the problem with the word love. Love in the English language is a feeling word. When we read the word love, we think of the way our heart pumps a little faster when we see them. We think of romance. In the Bible, love, not a feeling word. Not a feeling word, especially not the way it's used here. It's an action word. Love is an action word. It's a behavioral word. So what are we looking at in that passage again? Follow God's example. Therefore, as dearly loved children, walk in the way of love. Not walk the way you feel. Walk based on your value systems. Have your behavior represent what you believe Jesus does. So love in the Bible, it means that you're committed to another person's well-being. That's what love means. It means you're committed to another person's well-being. Our trendsetter, our pace setter, the leader of our church, Jesus Christ, exemplified love in that the behaviors he exhibited and he was committed to were a commitment to our well-being. And so, what is our value system? Our value system is I am here to commit myself to my community's well-being. This is the way not just marriages are supposed to be. This is the way our whole church is supposed to be. This is how we're all supposed to be. We're supposed to do that for each other, and then we're supposed to come in here, and we're supposed to do that for the kids, and we're supposed to do that for your friend. If you're having trouble with friendship, I bet this is why I've never got rid of a friend that I felt was genuinely committed to my well-being, and I've never had a friend not want to be around me when I was genuinely committed to their well-being. Like, if you're good at relationship, then in the culture we live in, what you do should surprise people. It should surprise people. You have a friend that you love and you're committed to their well-being, and they got something on the radar. It's coming up in a month, and you wrote it down. And then you send them a text and you go over and you say, I know I was thinking about you and I just wanted to get you this today because I know this is a lot for you and I just want you to know I'm committed to your well-being. Like maybe you don't say this because then they'll probably shut the door on your face, but like what's going on behind the curtain, right? Is like, no, like I care about you. Like I'm thinking about how hard this is or what you're going through. This is the Christian life. You're committed to the well-being. So then he gets in, he's like, now let's apply this to marriage. Let's apply this to marriage. Submit to one another. That's the word, and that's the buzzword that everybody has a problem with. Submit. Let's look at it from a biblical perspective. Submission in the English language has a negative connotation, doesn't it? Submit, you're submissive. You need to submit. I mean, literally, like when I first think of the word submit, I think of a dog. Seriously, you like put them on the ground, submit. You make them submit. That's the way we view it. So it has this kind of forceful, it also has this idea that if you're the one that's being called to submit, passivity, weakness, allowing yourself to be overpowered, loss of dignity or freedom, that's not what submit means. Submit in Ephesians and in this time and in the Bible, it means to place yourself under. Are you with me? It means to place yourself under. You choose to place yourself underneath someone. You commit to lowering yourself to bring about the well-being of the people that you're around. It's your choice. Paul says, hey, we're in a Christian community. Let's follow God's example. Let's do that because that's what we believe. And in Rome, like we've talked about, it was we go around and we force people to submit. We crucify people. We push them down. We oppress them. We use swords. We use chariots. We use horses. We use power. And then Jesus comes along. And in this culture, like, you got to understand when he is telling husbands to submit to their wives and wives to submit to their husband, that is not something that happened in their power structure. Caesar had all the power, and anybody under him he could kill or keep alive. He could kill or keep alive. And then the leaders of all the households in the Roman community, which is about 6% of the population, they could kill or keep alive anybody in their household. During the time that he writes this letter, the average age of a man getting married is 30 years old. The wife was 15. Average. Viewed as a second-class citizen because the way that they were married is a man from one household would go to another household and make a deal and actually buy the woman. And Paul says to that man, that Caesar, that ruler, he says, no longer are you supposed to view yourself as superior and the one that just has all the rules and you make her submit. You go to your wife and place yourself under. You submit to her. You choose to do it. You see, submission in the biblical sense is something that it's an action that we do because that's real love. How many people would fall in love with Jesus if Jesus comes to this earth and he's like, oh, all these people, they're so wicked and sinful. And then like God shows up in a cloud next to him and he's like, but you need to go to the cross. You need to love them. You need to surrender to their needs. And he said, but I don't want to do that at all. I don't have any interest in that. They're nasty, they're gross. Like, don't make me. He's like, I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna make you. I'm making you. And then like somehow the cloud grabs Jesus' hand and takes him to Pilate. And it's just like, oh, he's like, I don't want to be here. Do you believe you're God? Well, I am God. Well, then you should be crucified. Yeah, but I don't want to be. I'm not interested. And then he gets crucified. And the whole time we know, like, look at this guy. Like, he didn't even want to do this. The attitude of Christ is one of divine creative power. He is the ruler and creator of the cosmos. We know more about the cosmos now than ever. Billions of galaxies. Watch Interstellar. Blow your mind. Jesus Christ created all of that. The Bible says that the earth is his footstool. Do you have an ottoman at your house? Is that the center of your house? It's just something in front of the chair that gets dirty. The earth is God's footstool. And look at the attitude of Jesus. This is submission. Philippians 2, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in the very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing. He submitted. By taking on the very nature of a servant, he placed himself below. He did it because it's him. It's his choice. It's his love. It's what he believes. It's his value system. And who he really is comes out under pressure. More pressure than anyone ever felt. And what comes out? His value system. Being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself. That's submission. He humbled himself. By becoming obedient, he placed himself on a cross, even death on a cross. I know this may sound redundant, but I have more concerned with what they are doing than what you are doing. You've missed a critical component of the Christian value system. You should be consumed with what you believe and how you're choosing to live, because you want to show up and do an act of love, which is a commitment to someone's well-being, and you are choosing, no one's making you, you're choosing to submit. You're choosing to submit. And that is why we look at the story of Jesus and we see Paul redefines it or says it again. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. We're not waiting. He didn't wait for us to get it right. So you have to understand, Jesus doesn't say, if you don't do this, you're in trouble. If you don't this or whatever. He says, I know you need this and I'm gonna give this. So manipulation, control, fear-mongering has zero place in Christian leadership. Christian leadership is servant leadership. Wives are supposed to willfully choose to submit themselves to their husbands because of our head of our church, Jesus Christ, who submitted himself to us. That's your value system, you say. So you're supposed to do it. Husbands are not to be Caesars of their household. They're supposed to be foot washers. They're supposed to submit themselves to the needs of their family, willfully, committed to its well-being. And then in Ephesians chapter 5, it talks about leadership. And he asks the question, well, what is the husband's role? And you know, the idea of leadership says you're the head of the household. You're the head. All it means is go first. Go first. It's almost kind of like God created you that way, absolutely. The creation story has man created first, and then the woman, she comes there. And so it's kind of like, who's gonna start? Well, I want to tell her what to do. I want to lead and tell her to submit. Stop it. You want to be like me? Submit. You do it. You go first. Lead your wives by submitting to them first. book of John, 1 John says that the reason that we love God is because he first loved us. Love, submit, and leadership. Two things to do as you're redefining and you're defining your value system, and it's what you're bringing. First thing is personal health. You have to commit yourself to personal growth. Every husband in here has to commit themselves to personal growth. I don't care if you have a blissful marriage. You need to, in a very real way, communicate to your wife, I'm trying to get better. And here's how. Here's the 3 books I'm reading, and I'm going back to my therapist. Why? Because the other day I cried during a movie, and I don't know why. I want to figure that out. I want to grow. I don't care. If you say you're committed to the Christian value system, then you better be committed to your personal growth, because it's your job to bring you to the marriage. So you need to be committed to personal growth. Wives, you got to commit to personal growth. If there's some weird thing with mom, if there's some weird thing that you're trapped, if it's constant, if you're feeling anxiety in your body, which is your body telling you something's not right, you got to commit to, I'm going to get some health. I got to figure this out. What's going on with me? What's going on? I want to grow. Not because they need me and I'm just supposed to submit myself to everything they need, because you have a personal value system that says you're committed to the well-being of them. And so you're placing yourself under them to lift them up, and you need to bring your best self to that. So in so many words, you're committed to personal growth. The humble Christian, value-driven husband and wife assumes I need to grow and is never shocked when your partner agrees. You want to know if you need to grow? Go to your partner and say, do you think that I could be a better husband? They're all going to say, yeah. And then you go, tell me how. Oh, yeah, this is it. You say, tell me how. I want to be better. Tell me how. Well, you just get really angry about it. Okay, I got to work on that. What's that? I got to work on that. This is the attitude of Christ. Christ, being very nature God, didn't consider equality with God, but he emptied himself to make our lives better, to give us life. You don't think you have need for growth? We're broken images. Tons of potential, but lots of need for repair. If you don't assume you need growth, mercy. I'm sitting with couples and the husbands, I don't need therapy. I don't need nothing. I'm good. She's a mess. A mess. You're gonna tell me you're not committed to go get this worked out? And that adds to the last thing. A commitment to get things right and better, healthy conflict. You see, one of the things I think is important, which I was gonna get into in a more of a boots on the ground Sunday, but when you're committed to healthy marriage and you're committed to the value system, then you have the calmness of Christ, and when there's a problem, you talk about it calmly. You calmly and consistently walk towards the conflict, and you use precise language. You have conversations where you're saying, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's what's hard for me. Here's how this works. And you're calm. Can I say that? Calm. Everybody say calm. You're calm. Can I please? The Bible says that anger does not produce the righteousness of God. What that means is that when you get super angry, good things don't happen. All right, now that doesn't mean anger's wrong. It means that if you let your anger explode in the relationship and you make it an unsafe conversation, you're not having progress, you're having regression. So you might need a time to let it all out, and you might need to go hit a punching bag, and you need to go to therapy, and you need to go run, and you need to count to 10, and you need to take a walk, and you need to do all that stuff. But at some point, you have to calmly walk and say, I'd like to work through this. And the Gottman research says that the number one indicator to healthy conversation as it's related to conflict is a soft start.